Kia ora, and welcome to this short and sweet yoga flow focusing on the interaction between breath and core stability. So in this flow, we are going to focus on finding a three-dimensional breath and finding out how that relates to finding a full three-dimensional core stability practice. So moving away from just a real strong contraction or that kind of feeling of drawing your belly button in towards your spine, and finding this kind of all-round centering and stability. So what you'll need for this practice is a couple of yoga blocks. If you don't have them, what you can do is use chunky books or even cans that you have at home. And you'll also need a strap or a TheraBand, or a scarf will also do. So just have those off to one side. I've got a bolster here, but you can use a cushion. And we'll start in a comfortable seat. So you can be cross-legged, you can be kneeling, you can use cushions to support you. And I recommend if you're cross-legged, you want to find a position where your knees don't sit higher than your hips, so your hips can relax. So prop yourself up as high as you need to so that your knees can be parallel or lower than your hips. And with kneeling, you might pop yourself over a bolster and straddle it, or a block, just to give yourself a bit more lift so you can be in a position where your spine can lengthen. And feel free, if you find when you're on these kind of floor positions, your spine is just kind of round and it just doesn't feel comfortable, pop yourself up on a chair instead and just ground through your feet and have a nice long spine. So we'll just arrive here in our seat. Rest your hands on your thighs, close your eyes. And all we're doing initially is starting to notice your natural breath rhythm. Your breath coming in and out of your nostrils. Perhaps it's a little cooler as it goes in, a little warmer as it goes out. And notice where you feel your breath. And does it feel like the rise and fall is in your chest or in your belly, in the back of your body? Do your shoulders get involved? Does your face even get involved? Your jaw? And notice the difference between your in-breath and your out-breath. Are they relatively similar? Are they the same? Is the in-breath about the same length as the out-breath, or is one shorter than the other? Not doing anything to change it just yet, just noticing. Settling into the awareness of your body and your breath right now. I'm going to flutter the eyelids open now and grab your strap or your TheraBand or whatever you've got to kind of represent this. And if you've got nothing, feel free to use your hands. So I'll show you that in just a second. What we'll do is we'll just wrap the strap around our low ribs. And this is around about the area of the diaphragm and where it sits inside your rib cage. And we're going to cross the strap and hold it on either side. And this is going to give us some feedback, some neuromuscular feedback. Now, if you don't have a strap, feel free to pop one hand on the front of the body and one hand reflecting it on the back of the body, just to give us that same kind of feedback. Now, once you're here, whatever you're using, just relax your shoulders and settle in. There's a gentle tug on the strap, but we're not pulling on it too hard. And close your eyes again and start to breathe into the strap. So starting to use all three dimensions of your breath, sending your breath into the back and sides as well as the front of the rib space. Using the circumference of the strap to kind of give you that information. Feeling the fullness of that expansion of the in-breath and then the emptying of the out-breath. Slow, steady in-breath. Slow, steady out-breath. Feel free to have your eyes closed or just a soft gaze towards the floor in front of you. And then just noticing if you tend to breathe more into one part of your ribs than the other. So maybe more into the left or right side, more into the front of the body, more into the back of the body. And can you start to rotate that around? Can you emphasize the places that maybe you're finding it harder to breathe into? So maybe it might be the back, like left side of the ribs. Can you send a little more breath there? And then beginning to send your breath into all three dimensions again. See if you can find that full circumference of breath. And just notice how that feels. Nice long spine as you breathe deeply. And just take 2 full deep breaths here. Nice, and then fluttering your eyelids open, just drop the strap and leave it in your lap and rest the hands on the thighs. We're going to take those full 3-dimensional breaths now without the feedback of the strap, but maybe you've got the sort of memory of it there. Just take 3 more deep breaths here, breathing into the back, the sides, as well as the front of the body. So notice how the rest of your body responds to your in-breath and your out-breath. Nice. Brilliant. So just pop the strap off to one side now. We don't need that again. Just leave it out of the way. Just chuck it over there. And what we're going to do now is start to add some movement. So you're going to float the arms alongside your body. And as you breathe in, can you allow your arms to float up as if they're just kind of riding that in-breath? Keep a nice long spine. As you breathe out, let them float back down. As if they're moving against a little bit of resistance. Breathing in, float them up. Awesome. Breathing out, float them back down. One more time. Just allow the shoulder blades to glide on the back of the body as if it's kind of effortless. And then let the arms hang. Just let your shoulders relax, maybe move them a little bit. We're going to do the opposite breath now and just notice what that changes. So we're going to breathe out to raise the arms up. So take a big breath in here. And then breathe out, float the arms up. And then breathe in, float the arms back down. And just notice if there's anything different when you change your breath rhythm. And where do you feel that difference, if there is any? One more time. Nice, and then float the arms all the way back down. Brilliant. So just a little more info on how the breath interacts with our core stability. When we breathe in, our diaphragm draws down. At the same time, our pelvic floor muscles automatically draw down. Because the diaphragm's drawing down, we're taking up more space in the abdominal cavity, and then the diaphragm of the pelvic floor, because it's a similar kind of makeup to the diaphragm, will also draw down. When we breathe out, the diaphragm moves up into the empty space, and simultaneously so does the pelvic floor muscles. So this is sort of the action as you breathe out, all the way up into that contraction, and then breathing in all the way down. So just do a couple of breaths here. You can use your hands to guide, or you can just rest them down. Just notice how does that feel? Do you feel a sense of upward action when you breathe out and downward as you breathe in? Just try that for yourself. Brilliant. Float the arms down alongside your body again now. We're going to float them up, fingertips to the sky. Choose whether you want to breathe in or breathe out to go up, and just go with what feels natural. Nice. And this time we're going to reach the left fingertips to the floor and reach the right arm over and come into a big side reach. Let your right hip get heavy. Reach over, nice long side bend. Find length even in the left side body. And you can keep the arm there if that feels good, or you can send your right hand to the outer right ribs and send your breath into that hand. So emphasizing that breath into the side body. Feeling the diaphragm descend as you breathe in and then rise as you breathe out. Awesome. One more deep breath here. And then slowly come back to center. Just relax your shoulders again, maybe give them a bit of a roll out. And then we'll try that on the other side. So again, just go with what feels natural with your breath to reach up. Maybe this right side might feel a little different now. And then reach over, reach. Let that left hip get heavy. You can look to the floor or up to the sky, whatever feels good for your neck and your spine. And you can keep reaching, or you can bring that left hand to the left side body and send your breath into that side of the rib space. Nice, just a couple more deep breaths there. Brilliant. Slowly coming on back. One last time, reach the arms up. Go with what feels natural. And then float the arms down. Nice. We're going to come to lie on our backs now. So move anything you don't need out of the way. In fact, we don't need any equipment for this part. We'll just move blocks to the top of the mat and come to lie back on your back. Knees bent. Pelvis nice and heavy. Ribs heavy. Head heavy. Just rest your hands on the low ribs and see if you can find that three-dimensional breath in this position. So breathing into the back and sides as well as the front of the body. Noticing as the diaphragm draws down as you breathe in, simultaneously so does the pelvic floor. And then draws up as you breathe out. Nice. I'm going to slide the hands down to the belly now. You can rest the heels of the hands on your hip bones and the fingertips on the belly. And we're just going to notice what happens to the belly as we breathe in and out. Notice that contraction and expansion in the belly. Maybe we can even feel a subtle switching on of the low belly, particularly as we breathe out and the pelvic floor muscles lift. But we're not looking for something specific. We're just kind of finding out how it feels in our bodies. And we'll add in a pelvic tilt now. So as you breathe in, you can let your pubic bone draw away and create space between the low back and the floor. As you breathe out, draw your pubic bone towards the belly button and flatten that space out. So breathing in, creating space. Breathing out, flattening. Pressing the floor away with your feet perhaps. Spread the toes. Full deep breaths. Relax and broaden the breath into the back and sides of the rib space. And notice what happens in this area again, in that belly area. What muscles activate as you breathe out and breathe in. And again, we've got similar setups, but we're all different. So you might feel this in a different way to someone else. And then you're going to slowly find a neutral position of the spine. So let the low back or let there be a little space between the low back and the floor. Hip points and pubic bone are relatively level, and more than anything, you just feel like you can let your pelvis relax and be heavy. Nice. From here, we're going to maintain the stability of this area. So the ribs and the hips stay in the same position. Hands can stay on the belly to give you that guidance. And you're going to slowly raise left knee above left hip, right knee above right hip. And just notice what happened in the low belly just to let that happen. And then reach the fingertips to the sky. So variation on dead bug here. And just notice, if you breathe deeply here, does this already feel like a little bit of a challenge in your core? Just to stay in this position. Where do you feel this? And then we'll place the right hand to the left thigh now. And you're going to put quite a strong pressure, like they're fighting each other. So right hand presses into that thigh and the thigh responds. So right hand's trying to push the thigh away, thigh's trying to get towards the chest. So you're going to keep that action going. And then this part stays really stable as we challenge our stability by extending left arm, right leg away on a big in-breath. And then breathe out to come back. So breathe in, full three-dimensional breath. Extend away. Breathe out. Keep that pressure on. Breathe and extend. Breathe out to return. Nice. 2 more. So small movements, but potentially relatively fiery already. And then slowly come on back. Option here to challenge yourself by staying in this kind of dead bug position and holding it for deep breaths, or relaxing, let the knees go wide, like a variation of happy baby. Let your belly relax, let your pelvic floor muscles relax. So the ability to relax our diaphragm and pelvic floor is an integral part of core stability as well. We can't just be firing everything all the time. We want to be able to relax. Nice. 2 more deep breaths here, either resting or holding. And then slowly come on back, so knees stack above the hips again. Left hand to right thigh, they're fighting each other, they're trying to win. And then right fingertips to the sky. We're going to breathe and extend left leg, right arm away. Breathe out back to center. So everything stays stable apart from this arm and leg moving. Full deep breaths. Awesome. Just 2 more here. Nice. Come back to that dead bug position for a moment. Take a deep breath in. And then breathe out, relax. Hug the knees out wide. Take a little rock. Let your tailbone be heavy, so a relatively neutral spine. If you want to come into a different version of happy baby here, you're welcome to grab outer feet and draw the knees down towards the ground and maybe have a little rock from side to side. Otherwise, just keep the hands on the upper shins and rock from there. Relax your belly, relax your jaw and your face. So like I said, that ability to relax, just as important as our ability to stabilize, if not more so potentially. Nice. So from here, we're going to come into a bit of rotation. So we're going to bring the knees together and make them kind of act like one limb. So the knees and the shins and the ankles together, inner thighs engaged to press together. Knees over hips, arms to a T shape, or you can cactus them. Let this upper body stay nice and stable. Take a big breath in. And as you breathe out, we're going to challenge that stability by drawing the knees over towards the left. Breathing, come back to center. Breathe out, draw the knees over towards the right. Nice. Breathe in back to center. One more time to each side. So keeping those knees stacked, moving like both legs are one leg. Come back to center and we'll reverse the breath rhythm. So take a big breath in and a full breath out. This time breathe in to send the knees away from the body and just notice how that feels. And breathe out to come back. Breathe in to send the knees to the right. And breathe out to return. So no right or wrong way, just finding out, getting information. One more time. Slowly come back to center. Let the knees go wide. Hug the knees in. Choose your variation of happy baby and relax the belly. Relax the diaphragm, pelvic floor, and your jaw. Have a bit of a yawn. Awesome. We're going to slowly come up to tabletop from here. So you can either roll over onto one side to press on up, or you can take a little rock and roll. So drawing your chest towards your knees and rocking up over the shins. Hands come underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And in this tabletop position, you may not be used to kind of being told to relax. You may be used to kind of finding neutral or a stable position. But see if you can relax here. And what happens if you just relax into this and you can let yourself kind of flop into what might be your automatic position if you'd never kind of come to a yoga class before. And then what we're going to do here is push the floor away. So push the floor away with your hands and your shins and your feet. Start to imagine that someone's pulling from the crown of the head and your tailbone away from each other. And just notice what muscles switch on just to find that action. And then relax again. Try that again. Push the floor away, crown of the head and tailbone lengthen away from each other. Stay here, pushing the floor away. Take full deep breaths. I'm going to do that again. So option to do the exact same thing, or this time if you'd like to, flex the feet, relax everything, and then push the floor away, and then push away so much so that you can hover the knees. Can you still take deep breaths? Notice what switches on here. Full three-dimensional cylindrical breaths into the back and sides of the rib space, allowing the belly and the low back to expand even with your breath. And then slowly lower the knees down. Just take a couple of cat-cow to just ease out through the spine there. Let the tailbone lift, the chest lift, and then round push the floor away. And notice how you tend to breathe when you come into cat-cow. Notice your breath rhythm. Maybe you breathe into cow, maybe you breathe out. And then reverse it. If you breathed into cow last time, see if you can breathe out to cow. And breathe into cat. Just notice how that feels. To do the reverse of perhaps your habitual pattern. What feels better? From here, we're going to take a little rest. So bring the toes together, knees nice and wide apart. Come to find extended child's pose. Now, you can bring your forehead to the floor if that feels like a good position to be in, and you can let your hips settle back towards the heels. Or you can set up so you've got your forehead on the backs of the hands. Or you can use one of your blocks or even a cushion to support the forehead. So totally up to you what feels like a good place to be. And stay here for a few deep breaths. From here, we're going to slowly walk the hands in and come back to find a tabletop position. We'll grab our blocks here and pop them underneath the hands. We're going to play with tabletop, but with the blocks raising the ground up for us. Push the floor away. Find this kind of long diagonal of the spine, so slightly different position for the spine to be in. And then as you breathe in, send your left leg away, pressing out through that back heel, finding a bit of a calf stretch. Nice. Slowly pressing into that right shin. We're going to kick the left heel in towards the bum now. And then we're going to send the left knee out wide. And we're going to step that left foot forward and find a low lunge position. From here, we'll choose the setup of our block. So you might want to come a little higher. You might want to have hands on the floor, up to you. We're going to breathe in, send the hips forward, lift the chest, lift the heart. And then breathe out round into sort of a hamstring stretch. Breathe in, come forward. Breathe out, go back. And just notice, how do I feel this? Particularly in that area of the belly and in the ribs. How does this movement interact with my breath? I'm going to come forward again, and we're going to hold it this time. If you want to come into a deeper quad stretch, a deeper hip opener, you perhaps slide your right knee back a little further. Full deep breaths. We're going to add on a twist to this here. So pressing into your right hand, reach the left fingertips to the sky. Pressing into your left foot as well, finding that reach and that length. Nice, so we've got activity as we reach and lengthen. Awesome. Slowly bring this hand down now. We're going to slowly press back, slide that left foot back, sit the hips back into sort of a variation of child's pose, but we're not sitting the hips all the way back towards the heels. And then slowly come forward, wriggle the knees in, find that tabletop position but on that diagonal. Send the right leg away, pressing out through that right heel. And then slowly, slowly pressing down into your left shin and left foot. Hover that right leg, kick the heel in towards the bum. Slowly knee goes out to the side, and then we're going to step forward. Keep that awareness on your core stability, on your breath. And then we'll breathe in to press the hips forward, lift the chest. Breathe out to send the hips back. You can allow the spine to round as you go back. So finding almost that cat-cow action. And then slowly, in the next couple of rounds, you're going to come forward. Nice. And find your low lunge. You might wriggle that left knee back a little bit. Full deep breaths. And then ground through the left hand, reaching right fingertips to the sky, finding your twist, pressing the floor away with both feet, reaching, finding that activity. Full deep breaths into the back and sides of the rib space. And then slowly wimble that right hand down, slide the right foot back, come to find that variation of child's pose. And then sink all the way back, knees go wide, find your kind of resting extended child's pose. Slowly come on up. We're going to wind down with a restorative bit of a chest opener, a back bend, also to allow our bellies to relax after that bit of work. So we're going to use one block on the lower setting, just a little bit lower down your back, and the other one, or your mat, sorry, on the medium setting. And you'll just pop your block, this low block, underneath your ribs. So that's the base of my ribs here. And then your head is supported by this higher block. Now you can use rolled up towels or blankets to represent these instead, or cushions. And then you just bring your arms alongside your body, or perhaps out wide if you want a little more opening through the chest. You can keep the knees bent, you could knock them in towards each other. You could come to Supta Baddha Konasana, or you can extend your legs away. So this is going to be our rest position for this short practice. And we're just going to start to extend the out breath a little longer than the in breath. So if you're breathing in for a count of 4, can you start to make your out breath more like a count of 5 or 6? So however you're breathing, try and make that out breath a couple of counts longer than the in breath. Winding down, allowing your belly to relax. Noticing how the diaphragm moves. How the whole of the body responds to your in breath and responds to your out breath. And you can keep with this breath rhythm for as long as you like. And whenever you feel ready to, you can just let go and come to your natural breath. And if you prefer to end your practice in Shavasana, feel free to just gently roll off to one side, move the blocks out of the way, and find a supportive rest position for you. We'll just stay here for a couple more minutes. And if you'd like to stay a little longer, just feel free to stay a little longer, turn the video off and give yourself a little more time to rest. If you're feeling ready to start to move, just take a little bit of movement. Take a bit of a stretch. And you can either roll off to one side or you can gently press the hands into the floor, tuck your chin in and slowly come on up and to find a comfortable seat. So you can use your blocks. You can come to find a chair again if you'd like to. And we'll just close our practice together in sitting. Place one hand on your belly, one hand over your heart. Just connecting in with how your body feels right now. And do you have that awareness of how your breath is interacting with your core stability? Maybe as you go through your day today, just noticing what happens when you breathe differently and how do you feel your breath as you move through your day, whether you're sitting or driving or doing something quite active, just paying attention. Nice. We'll just close with one big breath, choosing what feels good for you, reaching to the sky, bring the hands to heart center and bow your head to your heart. From my heart to yours, Hari Om Tat Sat, and have a wonderful rest of your day.